Today is the day, Japanese RPGs, but we're going to have to go over what the psychorofiction system is, as they are all that. Absolute basics is that every character has a grid of skills that represent them. Choose relevant skills, and the character chooses the closest skill they have, rolling 2d6. If they hit the target number of 5 plus spaces moved, they succeed. If they don't, they fail. Alright, 3, 2, 1, let's jam! Magica Logia is translated by the Russian Translation Union and as such is somewhat difficult to ascertain the pure accuracy of the translation. In the most brief sense of the idea, in Magica Logia, you play as mages. Mages are magical beings who are trying to pile drive Satan books and seal them, trying to find their pages and defeat the main grimoire before they get eaten. From here they need to begin investigating, initiating scenes as they try to piece together who's being possessed by a book monster and who's just a random person and how effectively they can just murder people indiscriminately. If they find out who are fragments, it's time to fight! To do this, they engage in wizard battle, which is a competitive arena which both sides compete to destroy the other. The wizard has a collection of combat and support spells, but the most valuable of these being summons, allowing them to summon various phantasms with special effects of their magical skills to fight and assist them. However, the actual combat is roll a bunch of d6s and plot them. That plotting is assigning them in various orders to compare against the enemy. If they match, they are blocked. If they don't, they just take damage. Combat is a bit wonky and feels like it's a bit of hit and miss for what it's trying to do. It feels less tactical and more like you're praying to whatever god you hold dear that luck is on your side. Kind of meh, but the entire game is built around it. Cool idea of a game for the investigation aspect, but the combat feels a little bit lacking. Lost, a freely translated RPG by a single dude made by a small Japanese group, with the main gimmick here being guess what? All your skills are tied to your limbs and locations, making them very valuable and vulnerable to being hit by terrible murder monsters. But what's going on? Well, the end of the world happened, and you're a bunch of kids who accidentally survived. You're gonna get shack up in a small location and are trying to survive, but you could say that you're lost in some way. Your class are things like small, worker, professor, hope, and mom, emphasizing the fact that you're very young, stupid, and probably going to get mauled by a mutated murder bear. The actual meat of the game is scavenging through the, quote, field, end quote, a term used to describe a poorly protected area with monsters in it, and defeat the boss before you starve to death. It's a mixture of overcoming challenges, battling enemies, and scarfing down food, which is also money, to not die. It's a nice game! Something simple and jank enough to have the rightful amount of soul embedded in it. That soul can also be annoying, as it's a mixture of rigid Japanese TTRPG methods and a more traditional TTRPG openness. It's a strange mix of both worlds, but I think it's pretty alright. Have you ever wanted to be a cute idol? I know you have, because beginning idol is all about being the cutest idol, singing your heart out. It's also about that soul-crushing Nightmare Grindset they have to employ. Beginning idol is an idol game where you have to sing your heart out, impress the crowd, and get a lot of fans, convince your company to keep you on board, build your stats, get more talents, and oh my god, have you min-maxed your drip? Beginning idol does not give a singular fuck about your success or failure, and it's almost brutal in the sheer amount of corporate rigidity that you have to do to prevent having a mental breakdown on stage. This game is a brutal grind that forces you to get in the mindset of a Japanese idol company, or you'll fail and be laughed at by everybody for being awful. The main gimmick, you could say, is the performance system, which you roll d6s equal to your stats and add them together. But if you have roll any duplicates, it's worth nothing. So a 1, 2, 6, 6 is technically only worth 3, which is bad. However, if you ever were to score a 0, dubs for example, you mark everything out, you end up with a miracle, which sets it to 10. If your teammate helps you hit 0 with a synchronization, you miracle synchro and set it to 15. But if all of your friends manage to get 1 through 6 with 0 repeats, you end up with a perfect miracle, adding it up to 30. This is only assisted with things like recollection and talents, because you did spend time with the rest of your unit mates, right? Right? Top this all off with a full set list mechanic and having to make sure the manager, the GM, doesn't have a mental breakdown himself to make sure everyone is happy and not being sad, and you have one of the strangest, most brutal RPGs ever. I recommend it, if only to break your balls upon the iron anvil of the idol industry. Though apparently the male idol version is easy mode version of this game. I'd love to read it. And that's rapid fire number 5. 3 games, 3 times you've seen the Saikoro fiction system, and I wanted more translations of the Adventure Planning Services games. Oh my boyars, I request more to feed my ever-growing engine of weeaboo nightmares. My name is Notepad Anon. If you like what I do here, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. God help us all.